All right, good afternoon, RSA AI workshop attendees. My name is Daniel Bardenstein. I'm probably sitting with you somewhere right now. But it's my sincere pleasure to be here with one of our featured speakers who was unable to make it to San Francisco to be with us today. But it's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Winslow. And so let's jump into it. Sarah, can you tell the audience here a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me today. And I'm sorry, everyone, that I can't attend, but I'm sure you're having a great time and learning a lot. So as he said, my name is Sarah Winslow. I'm Director of Cybersecurity for Veradigm. And part of what I'm doing is developing an AI responsible use and governance security program, which if you're trying to do that yourself, you know is a big load of work and very overwhelming. Now, a little bit about Veradigm. Veradigm is a healthcare technology company. And to give you the tagline, the company that drives value through its unique combination of platforms, data, expertise, connectivity, and scale. So we have electronic medical records as our products. We also deal in the data that we receive from those as well. And so from a machine learning and AI perspective, that data is very valuable. There's a lot we can do with the data that we have permission and access to from our data sources and great healthcare data. So if we're looking at this data and we want to develop all these AIs, that's one side of the coin. When we're talking about AI, the goal of Veradigm is to make that data more powerful and more meaningful. And integrated into that power and meaning has to be responsible governance or stewardship, another word, right? And it's my personal belief that a key pillar to that governance is bill of materials, whether it's AI or software bill of materials. I really see there being two sides of the bill of materials coin. One is development and one is procurement. Now, of course, there's all sorts of other use cases around there, but if we just focus on those two, if you look at the terms of development, one of the things we hear a lot in the AI world and responsible use world right now is about transparency and understandability, which is a great phrase someone said in a previous conference I was at with Daniel, which was really taking that down to understandability. And how do you understand something you're looking at? Let's equate it to food, right? You look at the ingredients list, and that's essentially what a bill of materials is. So ensuring that what you've developed is transparent and understandable in order to foster trust and reliability of your product to your end user. In healthcare, we're seeing various organizations and compliance organizations set requirements that kind of smell like bill of materials. They read like bill of materials, but no one's actually saying the word bill of materials, right? But the questions they're asking, the transparency they want, tends to overlap with what we might see in a bill of materials. If we talk about, for example, the ONC, the HTC or HTC1 publishing that they just did, the ONC Faves lists out what a provider, for example, should be able to see about an AI he might be using in a clinical context. And a lot of the items they list are items that might already be in your bill of materials in your development lifecycle. So it seems like a natural extension to take what you're taking from your development lifecycle and maybe we produce that into a human readable version that is for the clinician, tailored to the audience. So one bill of materials creates different human readable ingredients lists based on your audience. So you can kind of see that bill of materials is more powerful than it's just an ingredients list. No, there's more to that, right? It's based on who needs to see that. When we're talking about procurement, it's a very another side of the coin that I personally struggle with a lot. There are so many solutions and vendors who are jockeying to sell you their product, and they're going to make it sound amazing and fancy and the best thing ever. And they could be, but ultimately you have to vet that. And the difficulty becomes in these conversations is what questions do I need to ask? Because canned questions, it just doesn't work, right? It's all contextual to what is their model doing, what is the outcome expected, who is the audience, and so it ends up being so many meetings that you have to attend just to suss out what questions you want to ask. So one way that could really shorten that experience is to just say, hey, vendor, provide me your SBOM and AI bill of materials and run that through a supply chain vendor that can do risk assessment, threat intelligence, and report back to you, hey, these are the areas you need to focus your questions on. This is their training model. This is their rate of error. This is their bias score. This is the country of origin, right? So if, for example, you don't want to have something who has a backdoor to a nation state that you're not allowed to do business with. Well, you might be able to find that through the domino effect of the bill of materials. So all of those things can bubble up very quickly at the beginning by getting that early in the procurement process and then saying, oh, I know exactly the questions I need to ask. Now, again, I equate this to food, right? Vendors coming to me, I'm allergic to peanuts. I see a big peanut right there in your ingredient list. Sorry, guys, either you have to change that or we can't do business, right? Other than, versus I'm going to have 10 meetings just to get that peanut question out. Do you use peanut? Okay. So bill of materials really is something that hopefully will grow in the industry. I know a lot of people are kind of, that's our IP, and I really don't see it that way. It's not physical code, right? It's the things surrounding your code, right? It's not the how many peanuts and the measuring cup and how long you baked it. It's just the ingredients list. And so hopefully this freedom exchange of information will become more popular to help foster this process. And organizations like the ONC, NIST, OWASP are really doing a great job in right now suggesting that that's how everyone should operate, which is to exchange AI bombs, be very transparent, be very open. I think soon we're going to see some of this solidify as we see some of that legislation pass on the federal and state level. Now, once we get AI bombs, this is just like all the things we could use them for. But really, when we talk about security, threat intelligence is the traditional thing that security organizations like in a supply chain, which is when you see a threat bulletin come saying this open source library has this vulnerability, do I have that anywhere? If you're a company like Veradigm, we have a lot of products, a lot of code. It's very difficult to know everything that's everywhere. And so having a supply chain vendor can take a bomb and essentially inventory what you have to allow you to quickly evaluate those threat intelligence bulletins so that you can act very fast. And the same is going to be true for AI as well, right? Does a particular model have a problem with prompt injection? Is it having certain kind of risks or threats that have been discovered that if you have developed using that model, you need to plug those holes? And so the starting point there is, again, the pillar of a bill of materials because it's the ground up, right? So Daniel, what any other questions you have there? What do you think about some of these relationships and the uses of bill of materials here?
Sarah, I mean, I think you hit all the nails squarely on the head here. And I think we're bumping up against time. So I guess if you have any closing thoughts for the audience here, any initial next steps people can do that might be interested in not just learning about AI bombs, but putting them into practice, or just any advice, and then let's close out from there.
Yeah. Well, as you come away from this, I mean, having a supply chain program is going to be super important, and making sure you have a vendor that really fits your needs. Also, making sure that you're looking at bombs not just from your internal development, but from your external vendors for that risk assessment, for that threat intelligence. And then again, equate those to what your regulatory programs are going to be. Really, I see the industry is going to grow into that. We're going to see bill of materials specifically for AI tailored to the context of the industry. So I think we're going to see healthcare ones, financial ones, so on and so forth. And so getting a start on that today is going to be very important, because, again, these regulatory industries or organizations aren't saying the words bill of materials quite yet, but they will be soon. And I think we're going to see the word get cemented as certain people come out with this is what it should look like, and we all agree. And then someone will say that's the standard. So if anyone's interested in discussing, the building of an AI program, we're in the midst of building our AI and supply chain program ourselves. And so there's going to be a lot of trial and error and lots to learn and improve upon. But you can find me on LinkedIn or at sarah.winslow@veradigm.com. So thank you guys for having me today. It was certainly a pleasure to talk to you all, and we're very excited to work with AI bill of materials.
Thanks, everyone.